Om Swastiastu. Hello, good morning everyone, whenever you are. On this occasion, I would like to present my research proposal, especially in the part of research background and literature review. Okay, the title of my study is Teacher Perception on the Influence of Using the Flipped Classroom Model on Teaching Speaking Skill in English Learning for 12th grade student at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar. But before that, let me introduce myself first. My name is Kinanti. My student identity number is 201-202-1020. I'm a 4th semester student in English Language Education Study Program. Okay, for the first, I will explain the research background. So in the research background, I will elaborate about the background interpretation and then research question, research purpose, and research significance. Okay, for the first, I will elaborate about the background. So, entering the 21st century, the world is rocked by the rapid of development of technology. So educators not only master new technology, but also must be able to use in pedagogy. So to find out more about the pedagogical implication, so educator must change the learning system from teacher-centered learning to student-centered learning. So the learning process that use student-centered learning will provide free space for students to control the learning process. So with that, educator can use learning innovation with ICT, but still focus on the social environment in the real world. There is hybrid learning. So it can be determined that one of learning model that can be used is the flipped classroom model. So focus on English learning process. The application of the flipped classroom model is quite a lot. One which is at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar. So in the 21st century, learning will also provide new challenge for students in socializing. So especially in the era of COVID-19 pandemic that has occurred since 2020 in Indonesia, so its student must carry out the online learning process. So this phenomena will limit student in socializing directly. So this will be a big challenge for student to socializing. Okay, from this phenomena, this study will discuss about the influence of using flipped classroom model on student speaking skill, whether the use of flipped classroom model can have a good or bad influence. So because it will explore about the influence of using flipped classroom model, the role of teacher is very important because the teacher will supervise student in the learning process. Okay, according to culture, perception is able to describe a person's process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting input information to make a comprehensive conception. So the perception of the teacher will very meaningful because the perception of the teacher will provide a clear picture related to the influence of using flipped classroom model in the classroom. From the previous research, what's new? Yeah, so it was found that the learning at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar had used the flipped classroom model, but only in English, Indonesian, and science learning. But it was found there is no clear certainty regarding the effect of using flipped classroom in English lesson. There is no clarity on how the teacher perception of the influence of using the flipped classroom model on student speaking skills in English learning for 12th grade student. It will be a new discovery if the research is carried out on teacher perception on the influence of using the classroom model on teaching speaking skill in English learning for 12th grade student at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar. Next is about the limitation of the study. So from the problem described before, the research will focus on examining how the perception of English teacher in SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar of the influence of using flipped classroom models on student speaking skill and English learning grade 12 student in SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar. So the subject of this study was English teachers at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar who taught or had taught using the flipped classroom model. Next is about the research question. Based on the background, formulate a research question that will be answered in this study. That is, how do teacher of SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar perceive the use of flipped classroom in teaching speaking skill in English learning for 12th grade student? And then about the purpose. Based on the research question, the objective or the purpose of this study is to identifying the teacher perception of the influence of using flipped classroom model on student speaking skill in English for 12th grade student at SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar, whether the use of flipped classroom model have a good or bad influence on student speaking skill. Next is about the significance. Okay, there is two significant in this study, that is theoretical and practical. First is theoretical significance. So the results of this study are expected to enrich empirical references regarding how teacher perception on the influence of using flipped classroom models on students' speaking skill in English learning. Also hope that there will be aware of teacher in choosing the right learning model and aware of the importance of student English speaking skill. And then about the practical significance, the first is for students. Students are expected to be aware of the use of flipped classroom model, and then for lecture, the study will produce information, and it's better to be beneficial for lecture in build an understanding about the teacher perception of influence using flipped classroom model. And then for reader, the research results of this study are expected to be able to provide information for reader who need to explore the similar topic. And then for other researcher, this study is expected to be beneficial for other researchers to become references or expected to be able to support the literature review. Okay, for the next part, I will elaborate about the literature review. So in this literature review, I will explain about the theoretical review, the theory of perception, teacher perception, speaking skill, and flipped classroom. And then about the empirical review, it's about the previous research that with the same topic. Okay, for the first, the theory of perception. So perception is able to describe a process of selecting, organizing, and interpreting. So according to Coulter, perception is able to input information to make a comprehensive conception. So in this study, the object that will be given perception is the use of the classroom models. Perception is given on how the influence of the flipped classroom model on student speaking skill. So in using the flipped classroom model, the teacher can give two perception, right? And next, I will elaborate about the theory of teacher perception. Okay. As I said before, in using the flipped classroom model, the teacher can give two perception, whether it's positive perception or negative perception. So the perception or the teacher perception is defined as teacher belief held by the teacher personally about something such as subject matter, what is taught roles will be guide in the implementation of the teaching practice, because the perception come from the experience and personality in the classroom. And then the teacher perception in this study is to see how the influence of the use of flipped classroom model on student speaking ability. And then next, theory of speaking skill. According to Arsjad and Mukti US, speaking skill is defined as the ability to say word or sentence to express thought, idea, and feeling orally. And then Och and Winker and also Karab say that the speaking has a purpose to inform and then to entertain and to persuade. And then the speaking skill have several supporting factor. There is pronunciation, and then intonation, word choice, word structure, sentence, and systematic when speaking, and then content and delivery method. So the good speaking skill will provide and will make a professional benefit. Okay, therefore, speaking is very important to be developed. This research will focus on effect of the classroom model on student speaking skill. And the next is about the theory of the flipped classroom. So in the simple term, the flipped classroom can be interpreted as flipping the classroom model. It includes a transfer of a place of study with homework. So the activity is carried out through a technology called tools and placed so the student at the core of the learning process with teaching technique that tend to be interactive and collaborate. We can interpret that the flipped classroom model as the implementation of the mixed learning process or hybrid learning, in which students are shown the content at home and then the student practice doing it at the school. Okay, the several studies have been conducted to find the influence of using the classroom model in the English learning. First is for the Kinanti and Nagin van Looy, especially conduct study to determine the effect of implementing the classroom model on EFL student to see the effect on student speaking skills. So the results of this study that the teacher had a positive effect on the use of the classroom model on the student speaking ability. And then the results of this research are further strengthened by the results of the research from Imam Sudarmaji, Ariska Manda, Amelia Anwar, and Argus Muljana conduct a special research on the development of the students' speaking skill by implementing the classroom on high school students. So the students show that the use of the classroom show a positive response from both of the test and post-test. And then talking about some previous research, there are several studies that elaborate the same topic but in different focus. The first is by Rahman and Ibnu Hajar. The results of this research show that the use of the classroom method was not only improving student speaking skill ability but also enhancing student engagement in teaching of speaking, and then focus on determining the implementation of the flipped classroom. The flipped classroom model as an alternative way to grow student speaking skill. The Julinar and Fazli Nur Yusuf successfully showed that the flipped classroom is effective model for improving student speaking skill. And next is about the indicator. Although it's important and many have researched the influence of implementing the classroom on student speaking skill, it's very important if the study is more deeply on teacher perception. So previous research provides several implication. For example, there is no research that uh, show how the teacher perception about the influence of flipped classroom model on student speaking skill, especially in SMA Negeri 1 Gianyar. Okay, that's all about the presentation of my research proposal, especially on the part of research background and literature review. I do apologize if there's any error or many mispronounced words. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much for watching. Om Santi, Santi, Santi.